Welcome one and all, I'm Decoy, and I've got a rather touchy subject today in regards to Fallout 76 being better than Starfield. And before you go hopping in the comments, crapping your pants, hear me out. I'm not saying that 76 is better overall. I'm merely stating that 76 did some things way better than Starfield, and that should not be the case. Now, we've got quite a bit to go over, so let's just hop in. We're starting with base building. Because as a builder myself, I went into Starfield with high hopes for base building and building outposts. Really looking forward to that aspect of the game, and it fell short. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the massive build area. That is the biggest plus I can possibly think of, because when it comes to the freedom of designing your base and just going all out, it leaves a lot to be desired in Starfield. You're stuck with hab modules that are just stupid squares and whatnot, and you just snap them together and then you just put crap in them. At least with 76, you had some freedom over the overall design of your structure or buildings or whatever that may be. So, realistically, I feel like even though 76 is a much smaller build area, you have a lot more freedom. Moving on, let's talk about crafting. Because, holy crap, why does Starfield not have the ability to craft armor? Well, I guess technically that would be a spacesuit or a helmet or apparel. Why can't you craft frigging weapons? Alright, these are all super basic things that I think a lot of people expected to be in the game at launch. I mean, hopefully this stuff shows up eventually, but my biggest gripe is why can't you craft ammo? Like, my God, did they really think people wanted to, like, hang out at vendors and wait repeatedly to get more ammo? Was that their mindset? Because crafting ammo, super important. And then another thing, real quick, to touch back on the weapons and armor. At least in 76, you could take your weapons and armor that you didn't want, and you could scrap them to get the resources out that you could use for crafting. Which I think is a major thing that is missing, because I leave so many items on the ground in Starfield because they're just worthless. They're not worth me carrying around to sell. I can't scrap them. They're just worthless things. And now on the screen, we're going to just start going back and forth between some bugs for a minute, just for the fun of it. But I'm going to continue on with, you know what? Photo mode. Of all things, I think photo mode was better in Fallout 76 than it is in Starfield. There are very limited options in Starfield, which is weird because you think they would have a massive head start giving everything that's in Fallout. It's basically the same photo mode for the most part, except, you know, Starfield's is missing quite a bit. Continuing on, I did notice one thing while playing through Starfield that, I mean, maybe I'm crazy and I've just missed this, but I haven't found freaking glasses anywhere in the game. I really want some freaking sunglasses. How in the heck? Well, I guess really, this is going to boil more down to your apparel choices and what your character looks like. And Starfield is somewhat lacking when it comes to apparel customization, we'll say. So you can't get sunglasses, very limited options when it comes to, you know, most things, which kind of sucks. Moving on. I did notice another thing that it kind of surprised me to an extent, and that would be that while you could swim in previous games and go underwater, you can't go underwater in Starfield, or I'm just completely missing how you go about doing that. Outside of glitching under the map and hopping into the water from underneath, which you can do, but unless I'm missing it, I don't see an option to dive down underwater. Which, again, not the most important thing ever, but it's interesting to see that we've taken a step backwards, and that's no longer a thing. Well, there really wasn't a whole lot underwater in previous games. It was still kind of cool to go and see what little things you could find hidden underwater. Our next item up will be radio. Yeah, you probably hadn't really thought about it too much during your time in Starfield. But doesn't it seem a bit odd that we're well into the future and there's no radio broadcasts of any kind that you can just tune into a radio station and listen to some music? I mean, it just seems so weird. I mean, in 76, you got the Pip-Boy, you got music, just like the previous Fallouts. But Starfield, the only music is, I mean, what's there? Which, don't get me wrong, the soundtrack for Starfield is pretty freaking chill. But it does seem weird that you can't, like, tune in to Galaxy News Network or whatever. Or any of that. It really seems like a missed opportunity. So yeah, I mean, looking back at all this, well, 76 definitely has issues. I will say, at least it has all of this. Because Starfield doesn't. Especially when it comes to the crafting and scrapping and a lot of these more key features that one would come to expect in a Bethesda title. So I tell you what. If you want, hop down in the comments. Tell me what you think they missed out on most. What thing do you really think should have been in the game from launch? Was it all of these? Was it something I completely missed? By all means, share it. I would love to hear it. Because it's so weird going, oh man, how does 76 beat out Starfield on anything? I will say this much, though. I do think Starfield beat the crap out of Fallout 76, especially when it came to the story. Because 76 doesn't have much. You may disagree with me, but I think Starfield did it way better. But I think that's about going to wrap this one up. I hope you've enjoyed it. And as usual, please remember to like, sub, and share. Later.